Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Shotzzy's given some very interesting insight into his teammates for the upcoming OpTic Texas season. Of course, the same team that won the World Championship last year, but revealing in all the time that Shotzzy's been teaming with Dashy over the last couple of years, there have been instances, if he doesn't trust his teammates, where things start to go downhill. That seemingly turned a corner this year with OpTic, but still fascinating to see how the internal dynamics have played out in this OpTic team last year to get them to the point of winning the World Championship just a couple of months ago. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. This apparently isn't actually Clayster, so yeah, just to make that clear apparently anyway. Quickly on aBeZy, talking about the MCW, right, because you guys remember when the MCW had that 5-bullet kill that it had to be, and aBeZy was like, well, that was when the game was at its best. Now, look, let's be honest, an SMG player probably is going to say that. That tends to be what they do. And it is interesting, I guess, to see the development on what because it's 100 HP in Black Ops 6. So what's it going to be like in Black Ops 6, right, in terms of the AR meta? How fast are the ARs going to kill? The headshot multipliers and stuff like this are going to be important. And I'm sure that aBeZy's hoping that it's going to be an SMG favoured game again. Obviously, the SMGs are always good. The ARs are always good. Both sides of the player base always complain about the other. But look, does it favour FaZe with a 3 SMG meta? I certainly think there's some teams that benefit more from 3 SMGs, and there's some teams that benefit more from 3 ARs. I think FaZe are one of those teams that probably benefits more from the 3 ARs, but you know, there are obviously some teams out there formed differently, such as maybe, you know, a Ravens even, or certainly a team like OpTic wouldn't be bad, of course, in a 3 SMG meta either, if that was to be the case. Just quickly, I thought was interesting, we saw that Glowfrosty yesterday said, how do you actually get into the league? Because he's won a lot in challenges, and he's not got this opportunity. Obviously, his methods talked about it. I thought this was quite interesting that Breaking Point tweeted out yesterday, actually, on the fact that placements in these championships, in the majors, don't massively affect the teams, apart from the Esports World Cup, basically, where there's big money on the line. So, and this actually kind of makes sense. If you finish 4th place at a CDL major, your team will take home, you know, several tens of thousands of dollars. But most of that ends up going to the players because that's the way the contracts tend to be signed. And then after like taxes or whatever, the organization is probably only ending up with, you know, a few $1,000s at the end of the day. And maybe that's enough to pay one of their players' salaries for a month or two, but it's not a massively big deal. So I guess the point is, if you're the 4th best team in the world, you're not massively financially better off than if you're literally the 12th best team, as long as you're still getting invited to the Esports World Cup, where placements do matter more because, you know, the prize money is greater but also more spread out, really, because at the World Championship in CoD, first place won a lot of money, whereas in EWC, first place won a lot of money, but they won less by percentage, right? So like 4th place at EWC, you still got a fair chunk of change, more so than what you did at the Call of Duty World Championship. So the implication is that right now there isn't much incentive to be 4th or 5th rather than be 8th or 9th. I mean, you want to qualify for champs, you want to make sure that, you know, the Saudis invite you to the World Cup, but apart from that, it doesn't massively matter. So, you know, the argument would be that you're better off just taking a shot at someone, you know, who can maybe make an impact for you, HyDra or Scrappy, than someone who moves you from 10th to 9th. And of course, if you are a poverty organ, you sign one of those guys, you could then sell them on. Paris Legion had the chance. Paris Legion could have had HyDra and Pred on their team a few years ago. That was a roster that was touted at them forming, and they said no. So, you know, the rest is history, of course, since then. Speaking of HyDra, actually, funny clip to share here from Nadeshot when, well, unfortunately, he fails a 6-foot roll call again here from Samuel Octane LaRue, but he does have a funny interaction here with HyDra when he's like, look, when the game comes out and BPL, hopefully BPL is going to be working again this year, if you guys don't remember last year. BPL last year, which technically stood for Breaking Point Ladder, and effectively the idea was all the pros get in a Discord, and a Discord bot will select them into 8 series, and you play the 8 series and you get points and stuff like that, and it was great. It worked very well when the players, before Ranked came out, basically BPL was absolutely popping for the pros and everyone was getting involved. And there was, of course, some drama, as Nadeshot's going to describe here in this clip in a second, that Parasite obviously wanted to go and play. Some of the pros weren't so happy with him being in there, so they kicked him out, and then Doug was getting involved, and there was all sorts of drama, and that's kind of what Nadeshot's implying here. But he says, look, just get me in the BPL 8s for one game, and I'll prove that I've still got what it takes on. HyDra's like, nah, you don't want this smoke, brother. Like, you're paying me to play for your team for a very good reason. A couple of other clips to share, though, as well, from Shotzzy. He he was talking about the new Los Angeles Thieves roster. Of course, people are wondering, how good are they going to be? On paper, disgusting, obviously, but they're going to have their problems, they're going to have their weaknesses, as with OpTic, as with FaZe, as we have seen over the last few months. How good they can execute is a question. I'm actually really high on that team, but look, time will tell. Someone asked Shotzzy at, I think, the HyDra World Championship, basically, where he was watch partying it, like, hey, can you beat those guys? Are you going to be able to? And Shotzzy wasn't so happy with that, apparently, so he just stormed off. But he also was giving his thoughts at the HyDra World Championship on his own teammates. Obviously giving some gas to Pred, for sure, like that he's done many a time. But in this clip, to Kenny, of course, as the leader and really the winner is how he describes him of the team, which is absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, the right way to describe him. But also talking about Dashy, right? Because Dashy has been such an interesting character in the scene for many a year. He's finally now achieved what he wanted to in his career, winning the World Championship, of course, winning 2 events just this season, which have evaded him maybe for quite some time. But still, people are wondering, is Dashy going to be satisfied with that now, or does he want to achieve more, kind of to emulate what Formula's done in his career and stuff like this? But according to Shotzzy, Dashy was an interesting character to team with a couple of years ago, because if the team wasn't to Dashy's liking, if he wasn't sure that he could fully trust the teammates on the station with him, then he would be a slightly different character.
I genuinely wish I could just get a map with y'all on the COD server, like a real map.
No.
Just one.
No, you don't wish that.
No, I do.
But me and Caesar, we have like chemistry like that. You're not getting a kill.
No, I know, but you don't understand how my ability to fill in the gaps, bro. I could play off you guys all day. That's all I really did in my career, is play off other people. I need you guys to give me just like one. I need you guys to get me in that BPL8s pro server just one time, bro. One set of 8s.
No.
I don't care if somebody's been waiting and they're trying to do the whole thing where Haggy's trying to play, but they're kicking them out. Like, you just need to give me one.
Nah, we good on that.
I haven't asked you this, and I haven't seen any address. Obviously, 100 Thieves formed quite the squad, and you've been vocal about the fact that it may not be a thing, right? There's a lot of superstars on that thing, and taking a backseat from being a superstar.
It's funny you say that.
Why?
Some guy at fucking at Halo. I actually got tight. Usually I like never get tight at like questions, but he walked up to me when I'm taking pictures with people, and then he was like, "Hey, what's up, man? Like, are you guys gonna be able to beat the LAT squad?" I was like, "What? What kind of fucking question is that?" Like, this guy wants me to say no.
What'd you tell him?
I literally said, "What kind of question is that?" And then I just walked away.
Yeah.
Damn.
It was. No, yeah, I mean, obviously they're a good team.
You're just like, it's hard to play with rings on my fingers. Like, it's
yeah, it's hard to fucking.
it's difficult.
No, it's obviously a good squad. I feel like it's a good thing for the league, just because like it seems like LAT is gonna do more like content.
The thing about Brandon, bro, he just like when he has players around him that he actually trusts, like you see a different side of him, right? Like he actually like listens and shit, which is a good thing. Whereas if like at least of the years that like we were playing with him, like I don't know, didn't really seem like he would listen. But it was more the circumstance was different though. Then I mean, nah, he's actually a really good team though. Yeah, like a really good team. What about Ken? Ken's just a fucking winner, bro. Ken is literally, like, he's just a winner is the best way to put it. Sounds like I'm blazing on my fucking teammates, Jesus. Nah, but he actually is a winner, straight up. Literally, there's no other words. Like, I could sit here and explain, like, how he's a winner and shit, but, like, bro, if you were to, like, be around him and shit, like, he truly wants it.
So I think you see this in multiple players, to be fair. If they're teaming with a roster that they believe either they're the best player on or they need to like do it all in order to win, then you start to see some problems, right? I mean, it's interesting because Shotzzy first teamed with Dashy back in Vanguard, and the implication kind of was that Dashy has turned into this new version of Dashy, this better version of Dashy, this better teammate version of Dashy over the last year or so. And that's not really the Dashy that he saw all the time back in the day. I mean, even you guys remember going into the World Championship when there was that interview that Scump basically sat down with all the OpTic members, right, before Champs. And Scump and Shotzzy had a very interesting conversation where they not slammed Dashy really, but like they were talking about problems with Dashy as a teammate, and they were talking about that as they were trying to gear up to win the World Championship. So it was an interesting time to do it. And certainly there have been problems with Dashy's, mentality or whatever you want to say with that team over the last few years. It's clearly got so much better now, and it's a phenomenal storyline that has been capped off by a World Championship success. We made a video about it on the Breaking Point YouTube channel a few days ago. But it's interesting that maybe in Shotzzy's point of view, even from back in Vanguard when it was Shotzzy, Dashy, Scump and then aBeZy, that was the team. They started out the following year with that as well before blowing it up. Scump then retires, then Ghosty eventually comes in, Hoot comes into the roster. Of course, they had ProLoot in that stint in Vanguard where aBeZy had the thumb issue. So, you know, couple of things where Dashy might have been within his rights. Of course, he's within his rights, but you know what I mean? Where he might have, like, not trusted a certain teammate and therefore played in a different way. I think that's a key reason as to why Dashy's, like, overall slaying numbers this year probably went down in many respects. Like, his KD was not as good as it has been in previous seasons. But arguably his impact has been better, and I think this is the key point. And Kenny's talked about this as well. If he can't trust his teammates, he plays worse because he has to then think, oh, well, my teammate's going to do this, or is he going to make the wrong play, and therefore I've got to make this to compensate. If you can fully trust your teammates to make the right play in every moment, then you can play with a lot of freedom and probably absolutely fry. Or the equivalent is, the other way it works, is that if you don't trust your teammates, you have to play in a certain way to get more kills because you need to compensate, depending on what your role is in the team. So I feel like that might have been what Dashy was doing, the implication being that if he didn't fully trust his teammates to make the right decisions, then, you know, he had to just slay out hard or play in a way to get kills and may not be so impactful, whereas most recently on OpTic, that's been a different story. Just to close out the video with a couple of interesting things, FaZe are doing a jersey giveaway for their 2024 jersey, signed by the players, of course, that won the Esports World Cup. 20 winners, a jersey and a hoodie each, which actually is not bad at all. US only, unfortunately. So, yeah, I can't enter, but it is what it is, all good. If you guys are, then feel free to do so. Just one final thing, Gemini AI, I think this is a Google AI, isn't it? So, it obviously needs a bit of work. If you ask it, who are the Dynasty rosters in CoD? To be fair, it gets the teams right, like Complexity, OpTic, and I think it also considers FaZe. Yeah, so it knows the 4 teams that have been in the conversation as a dynasty. I think in my eyes, there's only ever been 2 dynasties, that's CoD and OpTic, but like these are the other 2 teams on the periphery. Furico won a few events in a row, and they were the first real team back in Black Ops 2 to really put together a stint of success and, you know, winning the World Championship, winning multiple other events. This was not their team, by the way, just to make that clear. Their roster, of course, was Karma, correct, like 1 out of 4. Killer, Miracles, and then Parasite. That was the team of 4. So, you know, this is completely wrong. It's just put together a dynasty team. I love the explanations as well of the players, because it tries to give a different, like, kind of description of each player, but basically all of them are, like, exactly the same, pretty much. Some of them are probably on the money, to be fair, but a lot of this stuff is very funny. So, Complexity, of course, that was the roster of Karma, Crimsix, Aches, and TP, and then Clayster was involved as well in the early part of that team. This was not the roster, so again, 1 out of 4. Aches was there, sure, excellent map knowledge and game sense. Attach, don't know where they're getting that from. Sure, he did play in Ghosts, so did Replays, but yeah. Shorty, like, you know, with all due respect to Shorty, the construction man, and I think a pretty underrated player in his career. He went on a dynasty, with all due respect. And then we get the OpTic Gaming dynasty, which did include Formal and Krim, but it didn't include Dashy, and then Embos gets his spot here according to the AI. So yeah, Embo's a highly skilled fragger with exceptional aim and reflexes, so let's go money B. And then the closest it got to getting one right here was FaZe, where they did have Simp, RCT, Cell, and of course it would have been aBeZy on the team that, you know, wasn't maybe a dynasty, but in the same way that Furico Impact dominated a period, FaZe were kind of the same on dominating Cold War and then kind of lasting that a little bit longer, making loads of grand finals but not winning. But yeah, it still manages to make a mistake here with Ghosty. Maybe a bit of foreshadowing, I don't know. Enter into your thoughts as ever in the comment section below, and hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.